Hello, welcome to Postcards 8. I thought I'd do something slightly different this evening because I'm slightly celebrating because I've had my first of my 2 vaccinations. So, thought I'd go wild or something. Now, this is a double act, in a way like no other. This is Gilbert and George. Now, I could digress here and say I was once interviewed on a radio station, and the young lady, very charming, I said that I was fond of Gilbert and Sullivan, which I'm massively fond of and always have been, and she thought I said Simon and Garfunkel. Now, this isn't particularly funny, it's just mistaken, but it was funny because I am extremely fond of Simon and Garfunkel. Anyway, here we have Gilbert and George. I met them in Blackwell's about 40 years ago, one of my first little trips out when I just started working. And I didn't know who they were. And they are living sculpture. They appear in their own pictures, which are done to a massively high standard and have all sorts of connotations in them, some of which are a bit... But nevertheless, I think you will agree with me that this is called Fates and was done in 2005. I've just looked up and they're both still alive. So there we are. Now here's something I was going to put a little money into. I didn't. This is Fougasse. Now, his name wasn't Fougasse. In fact, I'm very grateful. On the back it says Cyril Kenneth Bird, 1887 to 1965. And it is a lady in a phone box saying, "Don't say I didn't tell you so." And it was Careless Talk Costs Lives. It's a wartime they put posters up to try and encourage everybody, like, carry on and all that sort of business. And, Hitler might be hiding. You can see the little faces around the phone box. So Hitler might be in Lion's Corner House or something. Boost morale. That sort of rubbish. Of course, it's not rubbish at all. It's still a good idea. Now, we change horses radically. How about that for revolting? What on earth? Well, he's saying because he's looking at a little book. And this is done by Robert Crumb, about whom I'm about to speak in some detail. And it's Fantagraphics Books from Seattle. Right, for a free catalogue, it says. Well, there you are. And if he's looking at the catalogue, I dread to think what thoughts are going through his mind. Here's Robert Crumb. It says Weird Sex, Obsession and Comic Books. He looks a bit like Woody Allen. Or if he doesn't look like Woody Allen, he looks like one of Woody Allen's characters. This was sent to me by a very dear friend of mine, Dave Prees. And there's Crumb's name again. Bit of information at the bottom. An exhibition of his pictures. There you are. Dave knew I liked him, and he likes him even more. And here's one I had up in my bedroom when I lived with my father. Fat Freddy. Again, it's a Crumb. Knockabout Publications from London. I've got that Knockabout Publications. Yeah, they were quite good. Keed Spills. Pills, Skeeds, Skill Peds. She's got a whole handful of tablets. See that? And here's the cat. He doesn't look very impressed. Now, one of the reasons I'm showing you this is it's leading into showing you this, which I know isn't a postcard. But it's a book about Crumb. There he is, Turns out he's still alive because I've just checked up. The book has a sampler of him playing either the banjolele or the ukulele, or you thought George Formby was the only person that played that. Now you find out completely to the opposite. He used to put himself in his own cartoons in compromising positions, probably living out fantasies. Here he is. He's in a more industrious, almost student-like existence. If you can overcome your own inhibitions in looking at him and looking at his work, he is, of course, very gifted and extremely imaginative. Here he is with his brother in 1959. As you can see, they're clean-cut young men from the US of A. I think you would have to say, particularly the magnificent residents at the back, these are Americans. Please excuse me. I'm going to have a little coffee. And I made some coffee earlier and I didn't drink it. So. Here he is with some of his fantasy women. Heaven knows what they're saying. As you can see, he's very skillful. Catholic schoolgirls. I have nothing against the Catholic Church, nor yet schoolgirls. And here is when he turns them into a comic strip, which, let's face it, given the amount of detail in each of them, would have been a full-time job. Sometimes they can be violent, sometimes they can be erotic, sometimes they can just be plain daft or funny, and funny. All of those things and more. And here's some wooden spools. They look like cotton reels to me, but maybe a spool is American for cotton reel. I don't know. You can write in and tell me. Just with little faces on. That's what I meant. I mean, that's only for fun, isn't it? You couldn't object to that. This book I bought for $14.99 in the days when I was rolling in money. And here's all the magazines which his work has graced. When I was in Liverpool, not something I'm likely to be again in a hurry, but I went up there in 1989 for the Toxteth. I don't mean Toxteth, I mean Hillsborough. It was the football disaster, wasn't it? And I went up there to get the record, just to support. This is a reworking of a picture done in the late 1990s. Anyway, the Hillsborough. I went into a shop and they had some Crumb, and I spoke to the guy there, and it was so expensive. It really was. But this is one of the first attempts, maybe, to bring so much of his work together in one place at a reasonable price. So £15 for this book, considering it's so richly illustrated, is not overpriced, is it? It's got hundreds of pictures, hundreds of illustrations. It's published by MQP, and it's called the R. Crumb Handbook. And he comments, "I'm not here to be polite." There. And you can bet your boots he isn't. I'll just show you a couple more. Discover for yourself. This is Mr. Natural. Mr. Natural also drives lorries, I think, and jeeps. And he says what he thinks, a bit like me. There. And if you think that's a children's picture, you can think again if you read some of this. Well, here's the doctor coming in, or maybe the surgeon. He's got a stethoscope round his neck. Next, he's saying. And all the women are getting excited, the young women. And why not? I don't think I'll show you that picture. I think that's, don't be shy, anyone can join, bring the whole family. And it is an orgy. Actually, it's not pornographic, but it's near the knuckle. Here's Laura and Hardy, and they're drawing the parallel between Laura and Hardy and Crumb. There we are, and something by Kenneth Tynan. This makes it sound respectable, doesn't it? Keeping Kenneth Tynan in it. There we are. Bob at aged 11, eating his breakfast on Saturday mornings, still in his pajamas and reading the back of Wheaties box. Well, he hasn't read the back of a Wheaties box. There we are. You can all relate to that. Look, there he is. It looks like he's cleaning his teeth, actually, to be honest. That's probably my poor eyesight. There we are. I'll have one more. I'm not going to show you that because it involves nudity. And you wouldn't like that, would you? Here he is with his brothers and sisters. Oh, here's more of the publications he's illustrated over the years. They're a very colourful and interesting collection. And believe you me, they sell for a good collector's price nowadays. You've got these in good nick. You're sitting on top of a little time bomb. There we are. This has been Postcards 8 and something very different and radical. Goodbye.